Okay, HTML code consists of the tags. It contains tags. Okay, or you can say web page contains tags. Web page contains tags. Or it's better to say tags are building blocks of a web page. Without tags, we cannot able to create a web page. Okay, there are numerous tags. There are a lot of tags we have in HTML. We have to learn. But to give you a basic understanding what is a web page, I have used a simple tags. But HTML head and body are mandatory ones. This H1P, it's up to you. It's your requirement. So if you want to create an input, you have to use the input. So you don't have to remember each and everything. Just remember what is a tag. If you write something between this thing, it is considered as a tag. Okay, this is a tag basically. Now let's talk about the. Now we have talk about the tag also. So tags are building blocks of web page. Now let's talk about the attributes. Okay, what are the attributes? So attributes are the things which we write inside the tag actually. So if I go to my web page, okay, so here if you see that type is equal to text, type is nothing but an attribute. This input is the tag, and whenever we write something along with the input, okay, this is just to give a more meaning to a tag basically. So if you see type is equal to text, we are telling the web browser that this input is of type text. It will take the input as the text actually. And in placeholder, it will tell the user that what sort of input it has to give. Okay. So attribute gives a meaning to a input basically. So whenever we create a HTML a file, browser can easily understand this representation and quickly convert into the web page. Okay. So let's see one example. If let's say there is no placeholder at all. Okay. Let's create this one. Input text. Now I have two input text, and the type we can give different types of values actually. So in order to take the string type, we will have to set the text. In order to give a password, we will have to set type as password. Why? Because whenever we enter a password, it should not display the characters. So that's why we are setting the type as password. I am going to save it. If I run my program, if I run the HTML, if you see, these two are blanks. These two are blank. But how will the user know that what sort of input it has to give? How the user will know that the first input box belongs to the username and second one belongs to the password? How the user will know? Okay, so in order to tell the user, we must have to tell the user some hints actually. So attributes are nothing but hints which is basically provided to the input just to make the better understanding for the user. So we have a placeholder, okay, and placeholder basically here gives a hint to the user. So if I give placeholder is equal to username, and here for this placeholder is equal to password, so automatically user will be able to know what to give actually. Okay. If I save it, if I open the program, so see here username, password is, so it is very clear to the user itself. So just now we have talked about two tags. We talked about tags, and the attribute is type. Type attribute. Type attribute tells browser that what type of input a user has to give. Okay. Now, second one, we have learned about placeholder attributes. What it tells, it's basically a hint to the user what to input. Okay. Now, third one, we are going to see a name. Okay. So if I go to my web page code, here we can add as number of attribute. So name, I can give anything. So every human being has a name. So this tag can have their own name also. So username I can set. Okay. It's just a name we are giving to the tag actually. So it's a simple. If I go to my code, so if you provide any name, it will not appear on the screen. It is just a name, okay, to identify a given tag actually. So name provides you can say identity to a tag, okay. And fourth one is class. Class is yet another attribute. Let's go to the code actually. If I write class and let's say I give login. Class name you can give anything. Class. Okay. So now what is the purpose of class here? Okay. Class basically is to group tags. Okay. Class is used to group the tags actually. Why it is required? First thing first. Why we are grouping the classes? Why we are grouping the tags actually? It is required because we have seen, so if I go to my web page here, so by default the size of the input box is set. We have not set any size of the username input box and password input box. So what if they want to set the size of username and password very much similar, and here if you see the border of this username is gray color, but I don't want this gray color, I want it red color. I want the background of this input box should be red. So how it can happen? So rather than simply individually I give all those attributes. So here if you see input, these two are input, text and password, username and password, these are the two inputs. I want both of the input to have the same style. When I say style, the border text, the length breadth of the input box, okay, and the background of the input should be same. So if it is same, why not to club together? Why not to group it? So if I'm grouping together, I don't have to write individual style for each and every input. So that is the reason we are creating a class tag. Okay. So these are the basic tags we have in our in HTML, which we are going to use it. And the fifth one is ID. This is again provides identity, but how it is different from name? Basically it is unique to any tag. Okay. You will not find a same tag, you will not find a same ID for two tags. Okay. If you find, it's wrong basically. So if I go to the code, I can write ID like this, 101. This is my ID, and 102. So this is the ID which we have given. So you can relate it with the employee ID or the student ID who are enrolling for any university. So no two students have the same ID, right? They have their different roll numbers. Similarly, every tag in a web page has different ID to uniquely identify among a web page. Okay. So if I write like this 101, it's incorrect. Okay, it is not allowed. So you have to give ID. So now we have understood the basics of a web page. Okay. What we have learned so far is the contents of web page, what the web page contains. Web page consists of HTML code. HTML is nothing but a logical representation of web page, and web page contains the tags. Tags are the building blocks of web page, and tags contains the attribute through which we give the behavior, you can say, or you can say that attributes give more meaning to the tags. Okay. But in case of Selenium, whenever we are automating, right, we never say tag actually. We say tag a element. So we have a web page. So whenever we are performing the automation, we usually use this word web element, basically web element. So web element is nothing but a tag actually. So in HTML, whenever we are writing HTML, we say it's a tag. But whenever we are dealing, when we are actually writing a code in automation, we normally say web element. We never say it's a tag. Okay. So both are same only. Don't get confused whenever I say web element. Okay. From now onwards, I'm going to use the word web element. Okay. So we can say web page consists of web element. Okay. So if I go to my code, so I can say this h1 is the web element, paragraph is the heading is the web element, paragraph is the web element, input is the web element. Okay. In this web element, in this input web element, I have these attributes. How many attributes are there? Type, placeholder, name, class, and ID. All these are nothing but the attributes of a input web element. Okay. Now we are clear with the what is the web page, tags, web element, and the HTML.